dragons are not real.
Or are they?
As far as I know.
Controversial statement.
Welcome to Cardboard and Wine, episode 32. I'm Mamie.
I'm Josh.
I'm Carla.
I'm Tiago.
Grab a glass, pull up a chair, and let's talk about some games.
Today on the show, we discuss our recent trip to Durham, North Carolina for a weekend of gaming at the Whose Turn Is It Anyway 2025 Gaming Con. This is episode 32 of our once every 4-year podcast.
It hasn't been 4 years.
Well, when do you think the last episode dropped?
I feel like it was in 2020, like during the pandemic. We decided to record one episode.
It was August 3rd, 2020.
Yep.
Oh,
One episode.
One episode. But it actually, if you go back and listen to that episode, we talk about how we're going to get the show back up and going.
We thought the pandemic was going to be lots of time to sit around and play games. It turns out we had to go back to work and teach our children from home, which left pretty much no time for gaming.
That's true. And we have had a few changes since that last episode.
Yeah, just a few. We have moved from North Carolina to Maryland.
That's right. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about the Whose Turn Is It Anyway Gaming Con in what was previously our hometown of Durham, North Carolina, but we now live in the Washington, D.C. area, where we have met lots of great people, including these new voices, Tiago and Carla. Hey, guys.
yes. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
It only took us being here 4 years to find people that enjoy gaming as much as we do to play with.
Well, we just moved here too, less than a year ago, and it took much less time for us to meet people that likes board games.
Well, we are glad we met you. And one thing that we think was really great is soon after meeting and playing games, we invited you all to drive from D.C. to Durham for the Whose Turn Con, and you actually said yes. Like,
Yes.
How far in advance did I ask you? Was it
I
one
think
week?
3 days before, something like that. We just rented a car and drove away to North Carolina. It was really fun to visit a new state that we haven't been before.
Well, we are going to talk all about that. But first, I thought I would ask you all. So Mamie and I on the show, we have talked a lot. Well, at least I guess it was 5 years ago. We talked a lot about the games we like to play. And if you go back to our earlier episodes, we talked about how we got into gaming. But why don't you all tell us a little bit about yourself and your introduction and history playing games?
I had phases, like I had a Catan phase, had a Netrunner phase, but getting to the hobby was more recent during the pandemic. I wanted to reduce screen time and spend more quality time with Carla, my wife. And yeah, it all started with like traditional card games. We had like a book about, and I became kind of a bit obsessed about finding good two-player games. And that eventually evolved into BGG and fighting board games there. And we were living in San Francisco at the time, and we were able to find good local stores, and we bought some games, and that's how it started.
That's great. How about you, Carla?
I just went with the flow of Tiago because he was really doing the research and going to BGG, and I was just enjoying the games. And now I really like it because I know what kind of game I like. We spend a lot of time together playing. We reduced the Netflix time, which is great. But I remember when I was a kid, I think the first game that caught my attention was Monopoly. I was obsessed with Monopoly. I didn't understand how people didn't want to play for 4 hours. And I was like, why are you giving up? We're still playing. And then we had the Catan phase and card. We actually met playing card
That's
games.
true, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Brazilian game called Truco. We played for, 5 hours the first day we met.
Overnight, right?
It was overnight.
Yeah.
We played until 7 a.m. or something. And
It's like a bluffing.
It's a bluffing game that we 4 people play, 2 pairs, and yeah, it's really fun. It's very famous in Brazil.
Yes. I think there's a traditionally French game. It's called Le Truc. But yeah, it varies from country to country. Yeah.
So I guess literally games changed your life.
Kind of, yes.
Absolutely.
Aww.
Yeah.
Right? I never thought of it until recently when you, Josh, asked how we met. I'm like, wait, We met playing games.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, we feel fortunate that we met you all, and we have played lots of fun games together,
Yeah.
which we will talk about.
Another thing that is amazing about Tiago and Carla is that as much as they enjoy board games, they also enjoy wine. So we've been able to enjoy both together.
So we have cardboard and wine. still.
Exactly. And tonight we are enjoying a Josh wine in honor of Josh, who keeps us all together. And I picked up this one because I actually really loved the definition of it. This is the Josh Hearth.
Oh, I haven't had that one.
I know. It's a Cabernet, which we love.
We do.
But this one, the definition says, Josh Sellers' Hearth was created for at-home consuming with family and close friends. And it is meant to be sipped and savored during those magical moments when true connection is kindled.
So we should drink this one with our kids, is what you're saying.
Probably
Yeah.
not
Our
the best
family?
idea.
Yes.
But
okay.
we should definitely drink it with our friends. And I feel like we have really kindled a true connection
And
with
we
Carla
are.
and Tiago
And we are
over
drinking it right
wine
now.
and board games.
All right, well,
so
let's
it seemed
see
perfect.
what do people think of the wine. Let's try it. Grapey?
Is that a good term or no?
I don't know. Tiago, what do you think?
It's like a good cab. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty classic. A bit bold, I guess.
It is bold.
Strong. It's
Very
bold, yeah.
flavorful.
Yeah.
Mamie, what do you think?
It is good. It is more on the sweet is not exactly the right word, but it's not as smoky, dark tobacco-y flavor as some cabs are. It's more fruit forward,
More juicy.
more juicy. Yes.
And we have this cool air plug that we add to the
Aerator, yeah.
bottle
Yeah.
that makes a ASMR sound.
Yeah, folks can't see this, but let's
Let's
hear it.
listen.
That sounds really hilarious through my headphones, I will just tell you. Just to be clear, that was Carla pouring the wine. So there's no confusion.
A little bit more.
I think we are squeezing all the quality out of this Josh Cab that it has to give us.
I think so too.
It is a totally okay bottle of wine. That's what I would
Yep.
say.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something more exciting. This Whose Turn Con. Everybody ready?
Yay!
All right. So, as mentioned, we all four went down to Durham, North Carolina. We drove from DC to the Whose Turn 2025 con. And Mamie, I believe this was our fifth.
It was, yeah. Our badges said that it was our fifth time, which didn't seem right to me, but then I went back and realized it actually was our fifth.
It actually was. And this was the second time that we went since we moved up here to the Washington, D.C. area. We drove down last year and had the treat of getting together with some of our old game group friends from North Carolina, some of whom had also moved away, and we all met there and played games. And we thought, you know what? We should do this every year. This could be a time to come together, see friends, and play games. And it was really great to bring Tiago and Carla, who I think jumped right into the game group.
Even though it was their first con and their first time meeting all those folks.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you all about first. So you said this was your very first board gaming convention that you've ever been to.
Yes.
So what was it like? I guess what did you expect it was going to be like, and how was it compared to your expectations?
I was completely open to the experience because I didn't know what to expect. I just wanted a nice road trip and to play some games with people that enjoy games as well, because that's also different when people really enjoy the hobby and they get into it, and I can see them on their flow. And the first impression when I arrived there, I could feel the energy, like everyone was in their flow, so much concentration. The space was huge, a lot of people. I don't know how many people, 200?
I think there were like 500 people or
Oh.
so this year, I believe.
Yeah, so you could sense how they were invested in the games and so many different games. And that was my first impression. As soon as we arrived, a guy came and invited us to play a game. What's the name of the game again?
Finspan.
Finspan.
Oh,
So-
the new Wingspan,
Which we have still not
game.
played.
Exactly.
Because I don't think it's in the market yet, is it?
I
don't
might
think
have pre-ordered it.
Oh.
from Labyrinth Games, our local now game store. So I believe it arrives for us in March. So maybe we can talk about it on a future show in 5 years or a few weeks. We'll see.
We never know.
But you jumped right in as soon as you walked in the door, really.
Yeah. We learned the game and then we played. It was I think it was 2 hours game or so. I don't know.
Because it was a learning game.
It was a
right?
learning game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It's the type of game that I like.
And had you played Wingspan?
Nope.
No.
So you jumped right in. You might have been the only people who played Finspan before Wingspan.
Yes.
That's funny. Yeah.
How exclusive.
Yep.
Tiago, what was the con like for you? What did you think it was going to be?
Yeah, I thought it would be like a recess time for adults, right? And that's exactly what I found. People, just playing games and, no agendas, no nothing, just like sitting down with people, people you know, people you don't know, and just sharing a hobby together. That was very cool. And 5 minutes after checking in, I was already playing Finspan. So it was pretty much, quick. And yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, that's something I love about the Whose Turn Con and board game cons in general is people are just so open to inviting you in to play a game, and everyone's there to do the same thing. And I think that's really great. And you all too, I know you had mentioned even just a minute ago, and we know this, that you all primarily game with each other as you play a lot of two-player games. Was it fun being in an environment where suddenly you could play with more than 2 players and play games that maybe play with a higher player count?
Yes, that depends on the game actually, because we're gonna talk later about what's the name of the game?
Wingspan?
Wings?
Wormspan.
Wormspan.
Oh,
yeah.
you really have jumped. Okay, so
You
now
jumped
you
way ahead. You played
Finspan
You've not
and
played
Wormspan.
Wingspan.
But
No,
not
we never
Wingspan.
played Wingspan. We just played the dragon one.
Yeah.
We played that one with your friends actually. Oh, they are really nice, by the way. I really enjoyed meeting them. We played that game, but it ended up being too long. That's the difference that I see with playing with Tiago only. We can play heavier games like Arc Nova, and it takes a shorter time, so we can play twice if we want. But with 4 or 5 people, it takes a bit longer. But I was invested during all the time, like all the 4 hours. I didn't see the time passing. I don't even know if it was 4 hours, but I was there. I was in the flow too, and that was fun.
Yeah. So for me, I think I enjoyed. We played Ra, right? And more like interactive games were very, very fun. And I had a bit of adapting time with multiplayer solitaire kind of games, playing 4 people, because the downtime is much longer. And I tried to follow what other players were doing, but it was kind of difficult to see across the table. But it was very fun. But I had to adapt a bit from the 2-player perspective into a 4-player perspective. Yeah, at least for those multiplayer solitaire games like the Span series and yeah.
And also, I think, that's such a unique environment when there's so much going on around you, even versus, when we play a 4-player game together here in your living room or in our dining room, and it's just 4 people in a quiet house where there's so many other things going on there and noise, and often many people are playing games for the first time at the con. And so I think that can sometimes slow things down too, because every game can be like a learning game to a certain extent.
Yeah, but again, the environment invites us to get in the mood of playing. So that's why we don't feel the time passing. We only realize when we are hungry and it's time to eat something and then go back to play, which we did.
That's true. I think we had the one night that we were all playing Arcs. I think the 4 of us was the 4 of us, right?
Yes.
We were playing
Yeah.
Arcs, which is a game that Mamie and I recently acquired. And I think originally we had a dinner reservation for
We kept pushing
a
it
reasonable
back.
time, like
Yes.
maybe 8 o'clock. And I think it was finally like 9:30 p.m. or something when we were like, oh, we finished the game. We went and ate dinner. But you're right. The time just melts away when you're that focused on gaming, and everyone's focused on gaming.
Yeah, I just want to add that. So Carl and I have been playing games a lot, just the 2 of us, and going to a conference for the first time, and had those moments where just looking around and oh my gosh, all those people are playing games. That's the scale changed so abruptly. So it was very interesting and exciting to see that. Wow, it was wow
It's a
moment.
nice experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I thought one thing we could do that would be fun is why don't we each talk about a specific game that maybe you played for the first time? Because I think that's something I always enjoy about going to a gaming con is it's usually a huge game library, and at Whose Turn, people are very generous, and they often bring mini games from their own collection. They're just shelves of games all around the room, and so it can be a great opportunity to play a game you haven't played before. So I thought we could all maybe just talk about that. What's a game that you played at the con for the first time that really caught your eye?
I'll go first. One of my favorite things about Whose Turn that I haven't seen at other cons, I don't know if it is a feature of other cons, but Whose Turn always has a play to win table. And these are games that you can take from the table and play, and every play gets an entry in a contest that allows you to potentially win that game and take it home. And so I always like to try to play as many of the play to win games as I can. And if there's one that I really enjoy, try to get in several plays. This year, a really fun game that we played with our kids from the play to win table was the game Kites, which we ended up winning and being able to take home. But another game on the table really caught my attention. It was a game called Way Too Many Cats, which Josh says...
That sounds like your dream.
I know. Well, and Josh says sounds like our home sometimes. One of the things I've taken up since moving to the DMV is fostering kittens and cats and dogs and working with the rescue. And so when I read the description of the game that you're managing cat intake for a rescue organization, you're trying to choose the cats, match them up with things that make them happy, and then help them get adopted.
That's exactly what you do.
It is what I do. While managing the kittens that they produce and trying to not end up with too many kittens. I thought this looked super fun, and it was. It was a really fun game. I was able to play around with my daughter and our friend Jenny. And it's sort of a drafting game where you're drafting cats, and then you're also drafting toys and food and things that the cats like, while also kind of inadvertently getting kittens, which you have to be able to place. And it was super fun. It's really intuitive. It's something of a visual spatial game, which I like. And it was very fun up until the end of game, and you had to do end of game scoring. End game scoring is very confusing and very in-depth. So much so that my friend Jenny just kind of gave up and was like, I don't really care how many points I got because it's just too much to calculate.
The friends we made along the way.
Right. So I feel like it's a game that I really would enjoy if it was digital and somebody else was calculating the scoring. But having to do that in-game scoring almost made it not worth it. And in fact, we ended up not playing the game another time at the con. But it was really fun on one level. I'm not sure I would recommend it.
I think, I was observing because you all were playing at the other end of the table from where we were, and it seemed like it was the type of game where you have all these different cats that score differently. Like this cat likes to be next to this thing or with this toy, and so then you've really got to figure out all the points for like the 30 different types of cats. That actually kind of reminds me of what's the card game, the Forest Shuffle that we've been playing. Is fun, simple, straightforward game, but then you realize at the end, like, oh, I have these 12 different scoring types, and sort of adding all those up can be a little tedious.
But scoring Forest Shuffle is 10 times easier than scoring Way Too Many Cats. And it has a nice little score sheet. Way Too Many Cats didn't have, that's another thing it's lacking, is an in-game score sheet. So it was fun. The theme is really cute. The artwork is very cute. It's very sort of Japanese anime style. The cats all have really giant eyes. And it's a fun concept, but the in-game scoring is killer.
The theme got you, though.
Yeah, the theme pulled me in.
Yeah.
But wasn't enough to keep
I
me.
totally understand that. I would buy for the kittens too.
Yeah, I mean, actually, had you not played it and you would have just seen that game on the shelf at a game store,
I probably would have bought it.
probably would have bought it.
And then we would sit on the shelf and we'd never play it.
Yeah.
It's like the game that we have called Fantasy Realms that we actually played there too. That the scoring is a pain. It's really hard to make. So there's an app that can scan the cards and then ta-da, the results are there.
That would be a great ad for that game
Yeah.
if you could scan it and it
Yeah.
would just give you your score.
Otherwise, it would be impossible to play Fantasy Realms because of the scoring. But we played all the time. It's our last game of the night,
filler
usually.
one.
The filler one, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's becoming a little more common, at least for more popular games where people are designing these photo scoring utilities. Like I know Ticket to Ride is one I know. I have not done it, but I'm pretty sure that there's a tool that's available when you have the final board state of Ticket to Ride. Have you all played Ticket to Ride?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have the final board state with all the trains out, and it can be difficult if you're not diligent about tabulating each and every route segment as you go. But I believe you can just take a photo of the board and it automatically calculates the score. I think Cascadia may have a similar tool available where you can just snap the board state and it automatically calculates based on the scoring cards. Kind of cool.
Man,
But way too many
technology.
cats. I don't think it has one of those yet.
That's what it needs.
Yeah. Tiago, what about you? What stood out to you? What's a game that you played?
So I want to talk about Glory to Rome. It's a game that has piqued my attention since I got into BGG and searching about games and stuff. And it gained like a maybe just pouring wine and doing that.
Yeah, that is not subtle at all. Is it?
So
Glory to Rome.
Glory to Rome, yeah. So so I was crazy about trying that game, but it gained some sort of legendary aura, right? Because it's so rare. There was this like dispute between the publisher and the designer, I think, and then so it's out of print for a long time, and so I came to play the game.
Our friend Dave has a copy of the black box edition that he brought with him. Was that Dave's copy?
But what was a black
not
box
the black
available?
box.
It was the ugly version, the cartoony version.
The cartoon version. That's right.
Yeah.
Dave has the cartoon version.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
No, the artwork.
And the most interesting thing about it is that it's similar to the Spanting. So we did the other way around. So we Carla and I play Moltenai. So we know Moltenai, we learned Moltenai before knowing Glory to Rome. So it was very interesting. It was very fun. It was nice to compare the two because Glory to Rome felt more, how can I say, chaotic, more cards flowing around, whereas Moltenai is more slow-paced, chill, and a bit refined, I think. But it was very, very fun to, trying to build an engine that goes out of control. And it was very nice to see the actual game, the original game in front of me. It was surreal. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because you really can't find it.
Yeah, and it's amazing that people brought the game. I mean, if you look at on eBay, it's like $400 or something, and people just sharing, putting the game there in the shared space, and people could just grab it and play. That's very, very thoughtful. And
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Someone had the black box edition sitting on the shelf. I think maybe that's what I was
Yes.
thinking about. Yeah. So do you feel like the game felt more chaotic than Mottainai playing with 4 players or 4 or 5 players versus 2 players, or do you think the game itself?
I think both things, right? We played 5 people, so it was definitely more chaotic because of that. But I think the design kind of doesn't. If you build your engine, right, it gets out of control. You don't have enough incentive to end the game, as Moltenai does, right? Right to Rome, you can just keep spinning your engine and goes out of control. And whereas Moltenai, you got to stop the game, got to end the game. It's a bit more chaotic, I think, because of that. It's a design aspect, but I really enjoy it.
It's funny that even the theme is very opposite. The chaos of Glory to Rome against the peacefulness of the Mottainai.
Moltenai is more about little advantages, right? So no waste. You don't waste anything. You just exploit a little advantage and win the game based on that. Right to Rome is more like finding a breaking combo, breaking the game, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what I like about all of the Carl Chudik games is there are these combos that just seem unbelievably unfair and out of proportion, but that's the point. Maybe not. We actually, the first game we played, I believe that first full day we were there, is we sat down and played Innovation.
Right. Which we'd played a couple of times, but it had been a long time.
Yeah, it had been a while. And I remember we were getting towards the end and you were ahead of me, and I pulled a card that said something like, flip over a card if it's like a red card, destroy all of your scoring points and start over.
Right. It was like the
You were definitely hoping that did not happen.
It was like the
we were done playing.
nuclear. No, what was it? I can't
Fission.
remember what it was.
Fission,
Fission.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was the fission card.
Was the
That's right.
fission card? It basically blew up the game, literally.
And I love that
thank
game
God
too because
you
there's so
didn't
many
use it.
cards where I said, "Oh, if you flip a red card, this happens." You're like, let me see that. There's no way it says that.
And it did,
Yes.
but luckily
Yeah, luckily, it
It didn't happen.
and you beat me.
I did.
Carla, what's the game you played that you enjoyed?
The one that stands out to me is Orleans. It's a classic, and everyone was talking about this game. And I'm like, okay, I want to play. And it's the type of game that I like. It's a bit of work placement. You have to manage your resources. And I won the game, so I like it.
Is that a game you could see adding to your collection?
Yes. But Thiago made a New Year's resolution of not buying any other game this year.
How is that going, Tiago?
He bought one.
I mean, it's your guys' guilt, right? Because I liked Kylo so much when he played it, and I found it secondhand very cheap, so I made an exception.
Secondhand purchase doesn't count, right?
Yes.
'Cause you're not
It's
generating
not Amazon.
anything new.
And also, Carla, it sounds like you did not make that resolution to not
I
buy
did
games.
not.
So if you wanted to purchase it, technically, that would be okay.
Of course, yeah. I still can do it.
Well, if you'd ever like to borrow it, we have Orleans in our,
Yes,
our
it's one
collection.
that we actually played for the first time at the Dice Tower Con,
That's
I
right, we
believe,
did.
years ago,
Yeah.
and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's not as we played with 4 people, and it's not as busy or crowd. It's really straightforward, and that's the thing that I like. It's similar to Kylo's in a way, the same sensation of the game.
Way more peaceful, though.
More peace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt really peaceful with Kylo's too.
Yeah, maybe we play
I mean,
nice.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
I think
I don't know
everyone
that
was
Kayla
so
was
nice.
peaceful
What I
per
like
se.
about Orleans is that it tends to be more you're building your own engine. It's not as cutthroat. It's not as competitive in that.
Yeah.
A little bit on the road, I feel like.
A
with
little.
blocking people or trying to get to the spot first on the road.
There was a little bit blocking, but it's different than the sabotaging or, like I think Kayla's is more aggressive.
Yeah.
And I tend to enjoy games that are less aggressive usually.
Well, I do want to point out for everyone at home that when we played Kalis, Carla defeated us
Soundly.
quite a sound margin. All 3 of us. I mean, I think the 3 of us were pretty close to
Yep.
one another, and Carla was...
She trounced us.
Yeah, I think it's like, when you have a scoreboard that goes around the edge of the board, she was on a different side of the board because her score marker had gone to a
Again,
different
everyone
side.
was so nice. I just kept going.
Yeah, that won't happen again. That won't happen again.
Now we know.
Well, I will say a game for me that was a standout was, Tiago, I believe you mentioned it, and a game that I somehow never played that came out in 1999.
Wow.
And that was Ra. So we had a late night session, Mamie. I think you had
I
gone
went to bed.
and Carla, Tiago, and
Actually,
I...
you guys played together.
Oh, did we play?
Yeah, you 2 played as one player, remember?
Wait, did we?
I-
Wait, did you play and you don't remember it?
Oh, wow.
Maybe I was
You're
just
right.
maybe I was just asleep in my head.
That's true.
Yes, I
You
think
guys
so.
played, yeah.
That's true. We both have no recollection. You're absolutely right. That is
The
what happened.
automatic pilot we're on.
I feel like I need to look back at it and remind myself.
it
But
doesn't-
anyway,
maybe when I
go
describe
ahead.
it, it makes it. Okay, so Ra is a game we played for the first time. It came out in 1999, a Reiner Knizia game. And I've heard of that game for many years since we entered into the hobby, but never had a chance to play it. And it is a straight auction game, which I'm always a little hit or miss with an auction game, but I really enjoyed it. I was a little skeptical too sometimes where you start a game that late at night after a long day of gaming, but I really feel like it hit exactly the right note. Like I think we wanted a game that was fun with interesting decisions, but wasn't going to burn our brains. And I believe Dave taught us how to play, and you all had not
Yes.
played before.
No, first time.
No. First time.
And maybe we had not played before, but it was so quick and easy to learn. I don't actually remember feeling like it took very long to understand the
No,
rules,
not
how
at
to
all.
play. I think being an auction game, you're a lot more involved and your brain is a little more active. It's not a party game, but I think that sort of auction mechanism kept us active enough that late at night. But it was very fun. You draw tiles. You're trying to collect different sets of tiles that score in different ways. There's some bad tiles that come out that you don't want to take. There's a push your luck element with certain tiles that come out. It was just a great time. I loved it. And actually, thankfully, I do not have a resolution to not buy new games this year. So maybe you will be glad to know that I have
I
ordered
love
it.
the question in your voice as you say that.
I have ordered it. And, I actually had this feeling, we should talk about this maybe in a future episode. More and more I'm appreciating the older games that have been out for quite some time. I feel like there's so many games like Ra. It's just so almost streamlined to
play the original before new
this
things are
beautiful
added.
essence.
And yeah.
Yeah, there's not all the bells and the whistles and like 10 different scoring tracks and all these different pieces. It's just just a very great streamlined experience, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think since I can buy games this year, that's the only game that I want to buy, Ra, because I feel the same. I feel like it was easy to learn, and it's a great replacement for party games because it's not as silly, and there's a thrill of the bet thing, the auditioning thing that I totally agree with you, Josh.
Yeah, that's a great point because I don't always like party games, and sometimes I would rather not play a game. If I'm just being honest, to play a party game. I will play party games. This is probably, maybe you're going to not like this, but even like Just One.
I know
Everybody
you
loves
love
Just
it.
One. Everybody loves it. I don't love it. It's not my favorite thing to do, but Ra, I feel like, is a game simple enough people would have fun playing it. So I think the next time we have a party, even if non-gamers, I'm going to say, here's a new party game that I got.
Yes.
And bring out Ra.
I think the number of players, the player count, is an important factor.
That's true.
But
It's 4 players game, right?
right,
Ra.
like
Is it just 4?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
why
we
you
had
play
to play
together.
together.
See, we already figured out a way to boost the player count.
Everybody
You can play
plays
as a team.
partners. That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
Partner game. It's a
You
partner
won
game.
the game, didn't you?
I don't know.
I don't remember at all.
I have no
I
recollection of
actually
this.
just Googled images of the game, and I still don't remember playing it.
We did play the original,
So I
one of
must
the
have
original
been
old versions.
There is a rule though that
Asleep.
if people are partnering, you get the final score and split it by 2.
Well, then we
so I have to
definitely
change
would
my
not have won.
stats. My BG stat says we did win. So good job, babe.
Good job.
All right. Well, I thought, why don't we talk now about one of our favorite gaming moments? So we each talked about a new game that we played that we enjoyed. And there were so many games we played. I mean, we could probably talk for 2 more hours about all the great gaming moments. But if you can narrow down to one, what is a gaming moment you had at the con that just really stands out to you? How about you, Tiago?
So what is the Dragon Span game again?
Wormspan.
Wormspan.
So my favorite gaming moment, I think, was when I managed to play 3 dragons with just one single action. I combo like 3 dragons, and I was planning that combo for a long time. It's so satisfying to pull that off, and yeah, that was amazing moment for me. Yeah, I love that.
I love a good combo.
Yeah, me too. My favorite game moment was also that game. I think I'm a little competitive because I'm the only one here talking about winning, you know? I was, because I was so invested in that game. I think the art is pretty and it's very satisfying to see like the little eggs, the colorful eggs, and then you have the little dragons, the babies and the dangerous ones. And I was doing really well, and I thought I was going to win, and then I lost by 2 points.
Was that because of
Tiago won.
dragon combo?
Yeah,
Yes.
That Dragon combo I was on fire on that game for some reason. I lost every other game in the conference, but that particular one was on fire.
2 points.
Would you say is Wormspan a game you would consider adding to your collection?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The thing is, the competition stuff, we have many engine builders, and like Race for the Galaxy, Ark Nova is kind of engine builder.
But
And Heroes in-
Race for the Galaxy is a different type of game. It's a card game. Like if we're talking about Wormspan, it's I think I would compare to Ark Nova, Underwater Cities.
Yeah.
It's like larger games that you enter a world. And I think I felt the same thing. Like the Ark Nova, you were building a zoo, so it's the theme is very involving. The underwater cities, same thing. Like in the end of the game, you build a city, so it's satisfying, and the same sensation I had with Wormspan. So I don't know if we could add another game that gives the same sensation.
Yeah,
and we are trying to be minimalistic here.
Yes.
That is hard with this hobby, being
Right.
minimalistic. We have not.
Well,
Tried,
I
really.
will say yes, we have not been minimalistic.
No.
We have Wormspan. We do have Orleans also. So if you want to borrow either of those games, you're also more than welcome.
Yes, thank you.
We have Wingspan, Wormspan, and Finspan on the way.
Finspan on the way.
We are not minimalist.
And I would actually say, I'm not sure how much I actually enjoy Wingspan or Wormspan.
Here's
Oh.
I don't know
I
I don't know
not
if we're
like
getting into this in this episode, but here's my challenge.
Uh-oh.
I love learning about the birds
Yes.
in Wingspan. I love how it's like rooted in the real world and you learn facts about birds. Dragons are not real.
Are you sure?
Are they?
As far as I know.
Controversial
I
statement.
don't feel like I am learning anything from Wormspan that will take me into the real world, but I think the game design is better.
You like the gaminess. I agree. Wormspan has a little more game to it.
I was hoping that Finspan was going to be the best of both worlds, but I've heard it's actually a different.
I think it's a simpler game, actually.
Yeah,
It's
so we'll
very
see.
simple. Yeah.
We'll see.
But simple is not always bad.
Nope, could be good.
Yeah.
And I would say that if I was to introduce engine building mechanism to non-gamers and friends, Finspan would be an amazing option, I think. I wouldn't dare presenting Race for the Galaxy with the iconography and all the steep learning curve. But Finspan is a great option, I
It is a
think.
great option. I agree.
I'm looking forward to playing it.
From what I've heard.
So, kind of the opposite of simple games. My favorite gaming moment was our 6-player game of Dominant Species.
Oh, that was my favorite gaming moment too.
Really?
It was.
Oh,
So let's
sorry,
talk
I
about-
stole
no,
your
You did not.
stole
Let's
your
talk
moment.
about it.
I mean, I won, so that was part of it. See, Carla, you're not the only competitive
Yes.
one.
It was an epic victory.
It was an amazing game.
A 1-point
Yeah,
victory after 4 hours of
Yep.
dominant species.
very
Wow.
satisfying.
Which
I
if
was,
folks don't know, why don't you explain what dominant species
Yeah, so Dominant Species it's one of my absolute favorite games, but it's a game that it's definitely plays better with more players, so we don't play it very often. I mean, I think the last time I played was actually at
I think
Whose
it's definitely
Turn?
a con game.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
a con game, and it is a is it area control? I mean, I think it's sort of area control, sort
Yeah,
of
I
worker
think so,
placement. You know, there's you're basically in a world that the ice age is coming, and you each play as a different species. So in this game, I was playing as the insects, and there's the mammals, there's the reptiles, there's the birds, there's amphibians,
Spiders.
arachnids, actually. But yes.
true.
So you each play as a different species. And as that species, there's certain actions that everyone can take, but each species has a little bit of a different advantage based in the reality of their species. So as the insects, I was able to reproduce and multiply more quickly than other species. And it's just a really well balanced game.
But very chaotic.
Yes, it is chaotic, and it is surprisingly for me, there's a lot of competition and a lot of times when you really can kind of screw somebody over, mess up
so
their
much
game.
Screwing other people
so
over.
much screwing.
That's why I'm actually fascinated that this is one of your favorite games, because typically
I know, typically
you
I don't
do not
like that.
the direct confrontation. And in this game, I mean, many decisions you make, not only do you mess other people up, but you have to decide which specific person am I going to completely destroy with this turn.
But the reality is, and I think this is why I like it, is that it's a long enough game
yeah.
and it's meaty enough that each of those decisions is not final and there's a chance to come back. And but I think that comes with it being well balanced and also being such a long game that it's not like in Matai and I where you play the fission card and we're just screwed, right? There's
Innovation, yeah.
Innovation,
Yep.
sorry. Yeah, there is that like moment where I really mess you up, but in the next turn you might really mess me up. And
That's true.
it balances out over the course of the game where the final scoring does often come down to a point or two. Which is just really satisfying, and it was just such a fun game. It was 4 hours, but as Carla mentioned earlier, I totally had no idea it was that long. It was so much fun. We were so in it.
Yeah, you're totally right. One of my favorite games as well. Always a treat to play it. And yeah, I think a thing I love more and more are games where like many of the points are scored at the very end. And so you really don't know who is winning. Like someone may be in the lead for most of the games, but I would say at least half the points are up for grabs in the very final scoring. And I think that was what added the excitement too, because you had really spread out all over the board, but you weren't necessarily in the lead. So as we're doing that final scoring, your green pawn kept creeping closer and closer and closer. And then you overtook like the very last scoring that we did by 1 point. And that was just so exciting.
Yeah, it was like a jump up from the table exciting kind of moment.
Yeah, I like that too, because nobody targets you until the
Right.
end, right? So you can go freely.
It's very
Great game. Great game. Well, this has all been great. I've enjoyed reliving the Whose Turn Con through this conversation. I guess sort of to wrap things up, any other just favorite thing as you look back on the whole weekend that we spent playing games? Just what was your favorite thing about the con, and would you go to another gaming con in the future?
I think it was a great first time. I would definitely go again. I think the trip was really nice. The place was very large. I like how the trusting system that they have, like people brought their precious games and they left it there just with a little note and their phone number, and yeah, you have to trust that the game and the pieces are going to come back home, and I guess they do, because they do a really good job at taking care of the games. I would definitely go again. Also, Durham is such a cute town. We had a good time there. We had good food. I wanted to mention a place we went called Luna. Great place, Argentinian place.
Lunas
Really nice.
Empanadas.
Lunas Empanadas, yeah. There's one of the person who works there, Mauro, really nice guy. He made an old fashioned that I can't forget. And yeah, totally cool. And I will be there again next year.
Fantastic. How about you, Tiago?
Yeah, it felt like, again, like a recess time for adults, and it felt like a BGG in a physical space. It was, once I got my FOMO in control, it was very, very cool, very exciting, and I could just pick up any game I wanted, and yeah, it felt really, really nice. I'd definitely go again. Yep.
Let's go together.
Mm-hmm. You really can't do everything.
No.
I have all
Yeah.
these ideas for I'm going to play this game and that game and this game, and then you realize, okay, my eyes were bigger than my stomach or the reality of space and time. How about you, Mamie?
I would say that is one of my favorite things and one of the hardest things about this particular con for us. Now that we don't live in Durham anymore, it was amazing to get to go back and to see friends and to play games with people we used to play games with, and just to be back in Durham because we love it. But there was also this like push and pull on our time of trying to see and do everything, and it's hard. It's tough to decide, like, are we going to go out and not be at the con tonight so we can hang out with friends that we don't usually see? I think next year I might not tell anybody we're coming so we can just immerse ourselves in Whose Turn the whole weekend while we're there, and then make another trip to hang out with other people.
That's not a bad idea. I would say for me, and maybe you started alluding to it, I think the people are by far my favorite part of the con. As I listen back to old episodes of this podcast from our time back in North Carolina, gaming was such a big part of our life, and the people we played games with were such a big part of our lives. And so to have this opportunity at that con specifically in our old town, just that opportunity to play games with the people that we were so special to us is just really a treat on top of playing the games. And it was great to introduce new friends to our old friends and to all gather around our love of gaming. So definitely plan to be back again next year. And sounds like you all might be there with us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, Thiago, Carla, it's been fantastic having you join us here on the podcast. Is this something you'd consider doing again with us?
Maybe it was the first time again. Lots of first times here. First time. Yeah, it was fun. I would definitely do it again.
Fantastic. Well, I guess let's wrap up because I think we are about to play a game.
Yes.
But until next time,
Cheers and happy gaming.